Alrighty, welcome back to the Well-Rounded Wealth Podcast. I am here with my buddy Jack, and we've been sending the podcast out to a few people, family, friends, and Jack, what do you think of it?
Yeah, we made it. We made it for round two. We're back. It feels good. um, yeah, we kind of just did it on. It's been a big idea, but we just actually decided to record and send it to people. We got some great feedback, and if anyone's listening now that gave us feedback for those first episodes, thank you. The messages made our day. My
100%.
sister sent me a really sweet message, and it was very, very sweet, and it meant a lot.
Yeah, and I think like hearing that feedback back from other people is helps us too. Like now I can actually resonate with the other podcast people I look at or
Right.
listen to, and it's like this means the world. It's like, yeah, it does, because especially for us, like this isn't a business idea or anything. It's still a passion project for us, and it's a journey of our growth too. So we
Yeah.
don't know everything, and as 22-year-olds, we won't know everything for ever.
Ever,
So,
yeah.
but
We will die not knowing everything.
yeah, but as we keep growing, we want to share our experiences and what we think is helping in our lives. And if you resonate with that, that's great.
Yeah. I mean, we've always said, like, we are doing it mainly for us, but it was cool to get that feedback of, like, oh, like, the things you're talking about are, like, the things that I think about, too, which, like, that was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. So, like, we're thinking about things that feels like everyone's thinking about now, and it's not just, like, us that are having these
Yeah.
crazy thoughts.
Yep. Exactly. So, today, what are we going to be talking about?
So yeah, we're kind of gonna get into confidence and personal integrity, which is something I'm pretty excited to talk about.
Yeah.
And that's also kind of in regards to self-esteem and how we think of ourselves. And then we'll kind of like get into methods of self-love too, I think. So yeah, start off. What kind of truly defines personal integrity? And I guess specifically to you, like what defines yours? Like, what do you do to define that for yourself?
Yeah, I think for me, it's setting boundaries internally. So, where in my life on a day to day basis do I kind of draw the line with anything from what I do in the morning, how I interact with other people, how I conduct myself when other people aren't watching. And for me, that really means, do your ideals, your convictions, your standards, beliefs, and behaviors, do they all line up with what your values are?
Yeah, I kind of similar to me, I would say, as far as trying to line up all of my ideals and convictions. I actually heard something really interesting. A lot of people say the common definition of integrity is like doing something that's kind or like morally good even when nobody's looking. That's a
Yep.
popular definition, but I did hear that that's similar definition, that it's when your ideals and your beliefs all match up with your actions and your behavior,
Yeah.
and no matter what, not standing back on what you do believe in and still always behaving in accordance to that, which I thought is really cool. That's a cool thing to live by.
Yeah, it's a check and balance for yourself, and no one else is gonna tell you if no one's watching, and you end up doing something that doesn't feel good to you internally. Only you're gonna know that feeling, and that's something you're gonna just have to sit with. So when no one's watching, just make sure you're doing something according to how you would want to perceive it yourself. And I guess that brings us to like, what are some behaviors and values that we do have and use in our daily lives?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even this past week, I've been really working on that and asking myself those questions, because this all does go into my personal self-esteem and self-love, because I'm now starting to set standards for myself, and I want to meet those standards in order to like have that self-love of be like, yes, I'm reliable, yes, I'm a good friend, yes, I respect other people's time,
Yeah.
yes, I'm working hard, yes, I'm being healthy. And this week I really started that. I started waking up a lot earlier. I woke up at like 6:30 a few times, and
Yeah.
I didn't um, that was even that alone felt like a win because
Yeah.
usually my alarm goes off, I hit the snooze button, I'm like, nope, not getting up yet, not doing it. But I did. I've like woke up and I was like, I'm just gonna shoot out of bed. Like, and
Yeah.
I also learned that just like getting even sitting up like
Yep.
makes all the difference.
Yep.
So,
Get
so
up,
yeah.
do something somewhat active within the first 30 minutes of waking up, and you'll get that morning energy for sure. Like, I mean, I've kind of had to do that in one way or another just because of
Right.
athletics, but like, I think getting up early is amazing. And some people aren't morning people. So if you're not a morning person, then that's completely
Yeah, and on
fine.
another note, I woke up at 10 a.m. today, so
It doesn't always
I
have to
didn't make
happen.
it the whole week, but I was close.
Yeah, but I think you made a good point about setting kind of those micro wins throughout the day. Like something I have that I have written on a sticky note in my bathroom every morning. It's like a little checklist of things I want to make sure I get done before I even get the day started. So just making my bed, like making sure my teeth are brushed, and how funny that sounds with you always hear your parents brush your teeth in the morning, but um, just doing simple things like that. And another thing I've been enjoying lately is doing something active. Like I'll try and do like 50 push-ups or 10 pull-ups in the morning before I even get in the shower or anything like that, just to wake myself up. And once I see those few things that I've accomplished, it's like, all right, that's a small win for the day. And even though it's not big, it's like I know that I have that checklist internally where it's okay, I think this stuff is going to help me down the road, and I just took one more small step forward this morning. So,
Yeah, I also think that just helps with personal discipline. Like, I one thing I struggle with personally is having my set routines. Like some days I just feel like doing different things. Like sometimes like I woke up at 6:30 on Monday and got out of bed and immediately walked to the kitchen and just like ate a little piece of bread, and then I got my gear ready to go work out. The next day I woke up, jumped out of bed, decided to take a shower first instead. Like I don't have like routine. I just
yeah.
kind of like, even though I was like getting up early, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do whatever I feel like I want to do.
Yep.
I'm just gonna do my thing.
See, I think you're way better at that than me. Like, it's so funny. My roommate and I talk about this because we're both early risers, and um, we like for me especially, I eat the same thing for breakfast every day. And there was at one point there was a
I do
time.
that too, but that's because I don't know how to cook. I feel like if I did, I would always do something different. But it's scrambled eggs every morning.
That's a good one. Yes, well, if you don't have that problem, then there is like being able to balance not doing the same routine every morning. Like it's okay to break it. And that was something for me. Like I eat my eggs and oatmeal every morning. I did it for like, I don't know, probably 6+ months straight. And then like for a week we didn't have eggs or oatmeal or something like that. And I was like, man, like something feels off. Like what's going on? Like, and
Hmm.
it's just being able to be like, okay, it's gonna be okay. If something goes wrong or you can't do something with your routine, like let's say you're traveling or something like that, and you don't have a pull up bar or whatever it is, like something silly like that. It's being able to look at it and be like, okay, even though I can't do it, I thought of it. So if I was in my routine or situation, like I know that still can count as a win for me.
Yeah,
So,
no, totally. So yeah, let's kind of segue a little bit into like doing like our things like this and our routines, and it definitely like those do really help me
yeah.
improve just natural confidence,
Mm-hmm.
and just my self esteem. Just because I'm like, even though I wasn't as productive as I could have been this week, I was still like, I'm up at 6:30. I'm
Yeah.
up. I'm That's a win. That's a win. That already made me feel better about myself. Just doing those little things.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think one note before we segue to leave in everyone's mind is I think of it this way. It's like that first 5-10 minutes when you first wake up, yeah, you might really hate it and you might really not want to wake up. But once you're up and going, you're a little more energetic, you feel good. As opposed to hitting snooze 3 or 4 times, and instead of getting up at 7, you get up at 10 and you wake up and you're like, oh crap, like I was supposed to get a lot done in those past 3 hours.
Yeah, no, it's such a crappy
Yeah.
feeling.
So would you rather have the 5 minute crappy feeling of, oh, I got to drag myself out of bed, or would you rather have the 24 hour long, like, oh crap, I just wasted 3 hours just laying in bed?
Yeah, and you know what it is? It's like it's a combination of like not hardcore, but like regret and a little bit of shame that like I have for myself, and it definitely like puts me down
Yeah.
because I don't. I'm like, oh, like I'm so lame. Like I slept way longer than I should have. I'm waking up at 11. I'm exhausted still, and like
Yep.
I just still don't feel like doing anything because I'm just like, oh, I've wasted my morning. So yeah,
Yeah.
and that definitely doesn't make me feel very good about myself in general.
Yeah. And I think this is a perfect time to segue into like, of those feelings of not feeling good about yourself, like what secure in let's talk about insecurities and which ones we have that may kind of lower self esteem.
Yeah, let's get into it. All right.
Yeah. Um,
When we were talking about doing this, the first thing that popped into my head was middle school PE class and going into the locker rooms to change.
okay.
I was so insecure about my body. Like
Yep.
so insecure. And I was a chubby kid, as I know you remember. So I just like hated it. I was like, oh, and then like you'd see like then there were like guys like honestly you, but like many others who like I was also like still a child in sixth grade, like entirely a child, and like everyone else has already like
Hitting
started
puberty.
hitting the
Yeah.
puberty and like getting muscles, and I it made me so insecure. I was always insecure. I didn't like taking my shirt off in front of people. I hated it.
See, it's so good that we're bringing this up because obviously there are those guys or girls that are genetically predispositioned to have a little bit easier time growing up or with body
Hmm.
development, but that to this day is still one of my biggest insecurities, like my body. And it's like it's crazy to think because like I've kind of started turning that corner now, but
Hmm.
like even I don't know, say a year or two ago, like I was playing a college sport. Like I'm probably in one of the best shapes of my life, but I'm still like, oh, like I'm I don't this part of my body is looking this way or something like that. And it's crazy to think that I know there's a ton of people out there, all shapes and sizes that go through this.
Yeah.
And I think this comes to the point of self love and being able to realize that we like some things we don't have control of, and some things we have to be accepting of because we can't always be great at it or genetically dispositioned for it. So I think one of the best things to talk about this in this sense is height.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, as everyone that knows me knows, I'm 6'5".
yeah. He's huge.
Yeah, that's I was actually never insecure about my height in like high school and stuff. It was just because I didn't think it really mattered. And looking back, I was thinking about it the right way.
Yeah.
But when I went to college, it was, you know what it was? It was just kind of like the dating apps and stuff that I started to do. And like, I wrote like, it's 5'7" on my thing,
Yeah.
which is like, cause that's my height.
Yeah.
And like, dude, one time, like, I like would match with people and they'd say, ooh, too short. Sorry. First off, why'd you match me? I don't know.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Did you match me just to height shame me? What's going on here?
Brutal. I can't even imagine. It's like, hi,
Um,
you're short.
yeah, I remember talking with my dad about it too, because I was like, yeah, I was like, I think this is like a thing, and like even like, and like, I won't I won't mention a person that's close to me um, she like won't see guys that are under 6 feet. Like she'll hang out with them, but she would never date. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or something like that.
So like that kind of was like I was like, oh, like I actually like that's a thing that I guess matters to some people. So
Yeah,
which sucked at first for me to kind of get through it, which helped me a lot is I have no control over that.
yeah,
There's no I can't take a pill to grow or I can't do anything to like which is fine. So I guess what I have kind of done for that is like okay, there are going to be people that value tall guys, at least in like dating and stuff like that.
yeah,
And I just have that's okay. Because if that is what they value, then why would I want to be with that person?
yeah,
Because
and
it wouldn't work. If that's what you value, that's okay. That's fine. I'm not for you.
yeah, exactly,
I'm
and
not for you, and that's okay.
and especially at a young age or younger age than even now, which you're still balancing that stuff, and so am I. Um, like especially on relationship side, like that is that is pretty much one of the top ways we are, I guess, not necessarily evaluated, but also perceived by other people as partners.
Yeah.
So, but, and I guess where we're going with this is one thing that would be really beneficial to realize starting when you're younger is having more self love and having more confidence in who we are and how we got to where we are.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's really, really important because when you can kind of look internally at yourself and say, like, okay, like, no matter how I was brought up, no matter what my work ethic is, this is where I am now. This is what I have. Like, if I want to be somewhere else, I have all the tools I need to get there. It's just putting together a goal and then a plan to get there. And that should be completely within yourself, not based on someone else's perception of you.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree with that more. And I think what's really helped me on like my path so far, and I'm still getting there, like those insecurities never just completely go away. I
Mm-hmm.
still like don't love my body. I don't I don't
Yeah.
hate it. I definitely like it, and it's definitely also just being more physically active has just helped a lot. So yeah, it's at a really good place right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I it's not perfect. But one thing that's like you said earlier is that focusing on doing things for other people is kind of a recipe for disaster
Yep.
that I've learned. Like I gotta be doing these things for me.
Yeah. Looking in the mirror. And one thing I've always kind of battled with is like where does that stem from? Yes, we've talked about kind of like your perception of I guess your comparison of yourself to other people your age, but what about how you were brought up in families too?
Hmm.
Cuz I know that's something for me that was like not necessarily at the forefront, but maybe in the back of my mind like how does how do those closest to me kind of perceive me as based on what my goals are. So like if my goals are to be like an athlete, yet my body doesn't really match that, or um, like my parents were like if your parents are more physically fit than you at a young age, like how do you kind of balance your perception of them with also how you perceive yourself?
Yeah, I actually have an example for that. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily family, but it's you and our friends.
Okay.
You guys are an incredibly athletic group of guys that I'm friends with. Not that I'm unathletic, and some of you guys are much taller than me, um, but it was kind of like that. Also, I do think played a role
Yeah.
because sometimes we'd all be hanging out. A lot of you guys were athletes. I was more of a theater kid, which I loved. It was
Yeah.
awesome. But no, I'd see you guys and like just we were at the pool hanging out. Let's see the shirts. Like half of you guys, if not more, had like the 6 pack abs going and like the
That's not
cut
me.
arms.
I was just thick.
Yeah, you were still in great shape. You were still in really good athletic shape. You were just more linebacker shape back then, which was awesome, I thought. So yeah, that definitely was a little insecure too, because I just looked down and be like, yeah, don't, not really exactly killing the game, not looking like Captain America right now. And if like it just a comparison, I was like, these guys all do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I honestly, what helped was, I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this, but I have talked to some of our other friends about it and opened up,
Yeah.
and they were like, what really helped is like, dude, like we don't like look at you as like that at all,
Yeah.
which definitely like helped my own perspective. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking about this way more than any other human being in the entire world.
I think that is like perfect way to say it. Like we as like looking at ourselves way overanalyze
Uh-huh.
stuff compared to how we think other people perceive us. And yes, I'm sure that's a stem of social media and just having more kind of influence on us from external sources. But I was listening to something the other day, and if you ever had an insecurity with your friends, your parents, or anything like, and you were worried about how they perceive it, a great way to kind of break that barrier is ask them, like, hop on a phone with them, call with them, or whatever, or talk to them and say, "Is there anything I could say that would make you not love me more or like me more or anything like that?" And if they say no, then feel free to open up and tell them. Like,
Yeah.
I've done that with you and a ton of my friends. Like, we've all gone through tough times, and I'm sure we'll cover them on later episodes when we get deeper into this stuff. But like, you guys and family has always been something that like I know I have a great support system with, which
Yeah.
is awesome. And maybe not everyone out there has that, but I can guarantee you can ask that question, and it may not be that that person who you're thinking of is like super outgoing and outspoken, and like that, oh, if I went to this person they'd be completely okay with it. But if you ask them that question and they say no, then open up to them and see how it goes. Like,
And if they say yes, then that's not a friend.
yeah, then don't tell them.
Yeah, that's not a friend.
Yeah. And I mean, I definitely hope that there are people out there like that for everyone. um and I mean,
I definitely think, I mean, just depending on circumstance of life, wherever, I mean, anyone, I guess, could eventually listen to this, wherever you come from. Maybe if you were in a circumstance where didn't have a lot of friends growing up, or ones that stuck around, maybe not a great family life.
yeah,
I definitely think it's out there, because I think everyone is going through that pain. Like you're definitely not alone.
yeah,
That if you're feeling lonely, there's a lot. I think a lot of people are lonely. I'm definitely not saying it's easy to find those people, but I do think it's out there, and I can't even imagine, honestly, not having the support system I do. That has
yeah,
helped me along this journey so much of my self love and self respect, and
yeah,
I don't even think it's at tip top shape yet.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's really hard, but I guess it does all start with you. Is like the only thing I could say. I don't know. I'm a little uncomfortable giving advice to
yeah,
people that I don't know.
yeah, yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Yeah, because we don't
We're
know your,
22.
yeah, we don't know your situation,
Yeah,
and
we have no idea. But I will always stand by optimism no matter what. And I think when I have decided to put myself out there, I have made new friends.
yeah,
So anecdotally, that's what I can say.
yeah, for sure. No, I think that's a great way to put that. But um, I think jumping to like the next thing is how can we be accepting of the fact that we aren't good at everything. Um, in terms of stuff we perceive as being insecurities. Like, and how do we grow to, if there is something that we do want to be better at, but not, we don't have the natural propensity, like, how do we approach that?
Yeah. I think honestly, I've learned that it's a dangerous game with um it's because there's a line of self-deprecation
Yeah.
and a line of being able to laugh at yourself
Yeah.
that I have learned. Because like sometimes like when I'm joking with you and like if all of our friends are together and our buddy Thomas Regali who's always busted our chops
Yeah.
like that when we joke around I'm able to laugh at myself, and even if it's things that are true, I think we're just at that level too where it's
Yeah.
like we love each other so much that like
Yeah.
we can say these things and never get offended and you can just laugh at ourselves. But if I were to constantly be making jokes about how I'm short, oh, I'm the short guy, that
Yeah.
then it's like then people are gonna be like okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Like,
get where you're going with that.
cool. um or yeah, I guess because that actually does show. I think that's like a coping mechanism of like, oh, like that's like, oh, you're actually really insecure about this, but you're just like saying it, you're self-deprecating yourself to get a laugh. But I'm not just gonna keep going and be like, yeah, I'm short, isn't that funny? Like you
Yeah.
get.
Yeah, I
So
get where you're
it's a line I think for accepting those facts of what you're not good at, what you're insecure about. I think you should accept it, and I think you
going.
should still choose to love yourself anyway. But there is that line of self deprecation that you can't cross if you do that as
Yeah.
well.
Over and over again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
over and over again. Because now it's just like you're just beat. Like, don't beat yourself down.
Yep.
Like, acknowledge it, but know that it doesn't matter. You know,
Yeah.
like, know that that's okay.
And accept it. And I think that's where what we're talking about is like, how do you is like accepting those things and being able to be like, that's okay. And then kind of tying it back into our personal integrity. Physically, something like those are things that take a little longer to change, or sometimes you can't even change them. So the most important part of this conversation is leading back to that personal integrity. Like, what are your ideals, your convictions, your standards, beliefs, behaviors, and do they line up with your values? Um, like for me, I know some of my values are just being able to help others, like wanting to do that, wanting to also push myself to kind of find new boundaries that I can kind of push. And if something that comes up in my life is not kind of synonymous with what my goals are and what my values are towards those things, like saying no is sometimes the hardest um, answer to give to someone when something like that comes up, or even to give to yourself. Like, no, I can't do that because that doesn't align with my values.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think what has also helped me kind of accept things that I'm insecure about is having that a value system for myself in place of
Yeah.
having some core beliefs and some core values that I stand for and believe in, and work to aspire to those values that I hold. If I'm doing that for me and in my head, I'm like, okay, I did well, and I do not always uphold these values. It's hard. We're human.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I snapped at some people last night. Like, it happens. It
Yep.
happens. Sometimes you just get
You get that
little,
feeling,
yeah.
you're like, ah, crap, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And like, so we always have our moments, but as long as I know I'm working hard to get there and to try, that makes everything else for me go away.
Yeah.
That, like, the insecurities that I have, or like what other people may think of me. It's like, well, I have these values. I believe I'm upholding these values for myself, and I hope I'm communicating that to other people. If they see that and decide to judge me based on other things,
Yeah.
then okay, then that's actually not a person I want to be around.
Exactly.
If someone's gonna be like, oh, Jack's like a really nice, awesome guy, but like he's kind of short.
Yeah.
I
It's got that short value.
that was like, yeah, well, okay, get out of here then.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
I'm not gonna be like sad about that. That's a ridiculous thing to uphold for somebody. A
yeah.
ridiculous standard to hold.
No,
Whatever.
exactly. I mean, and it's kind of jogged my memory. Like our parents always say that, like, hang out with people that align with your values. But as kids, we don't know what our values are. Like that's something we
No.
have to continue to grow on and kind of expand. Like, how do you even know that helping others is a value of yours until you help someone? You know,
Yeah.
and that just comes with more and more experience and more and trying more and more things. So, um, I think that's also something that even for myself, like I take a note of, like as I keep growing and as I get older and as I keep trying new things, like my values can change. Like, but where you are, where you're at in life, as long as you keep aligning yourself with people that are in or that see those things and have those same values as you can continue to grow even faster and stronger along that journey that you're on.
Yeah. Completely. Actually, this is making me. I have this idea because I have an idea of what my values are, but I don't have them written down. I
Yeah.
don't. I kind of want to do that after throughout this conversation. I'd love to sit down and I think I would even like to use a sheet of paper out of my computer and just write down like,
Yeah.
what are my core values? What are my beliefs? What do I need to uphold to for my own standards?
Yep.
I think it'd be a really cool exercise if we did that, and
Yeah.
I think that'd be really really cool actually, just to have something like a one of those pillars that I could
Yep.
wake up to every day and be like, just look at it and then just know it, and just in the back of my head go throughout my days trying to uphold those.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. I think I did that about 6 months ago, and so I forget what the so my acronym was DIVS, DIVS, and it was drive, intelligence, values, and or no, not values. I forget what the V was. Um, but the last one was service, and I know I journaled again maybe 2 months ago, and I added a letter to that, and that's a perfect example of like you're gonna keep growing, and you should like I'm a firm believer in like write the stuff that's in your head down because I know for me especially my head is way too busy and gets clogged with a bunch of stuff, so that
Yeah.
when like if I don't write something down and I don't have the ability to go and look back at it, then it's gonna get lost in clutter. So yeah, no, I think that'd be a good thing. I'll have to go back to my journal and look up specifically what those are. But like I know for me, like drive is that value of wanting to always push myself and push my boundaries, and then like intelligence is I love to learn and learn new things. So, and then obviously service is being able to help others. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I really have enjoyed this episode a lot. This
yeah,
has been really great. I think, yeah, I'm actually legitimately gonna make like a little document of my values or something
yeah,
on paper. If anyone listening feels at all inclined to do that, um, maybe down the line we could do something where people could share those type of things.
yeah.
I think that could be really cool.
I think speaking on that point too is, and we'll keep touching on this on further episodes. We have a website we're coming out with, and it'll have links to the podcast, and we'll be posting blogs on it. And I think that'd be a great place to do something like this. Is we'll share our values and share how they grow and change. But like on the blog, we'll have a kind of a value section, and anyone's happy to share them and share what those words are and then what they kind of mean to you. And I think that'd be really cool. And you and I can
Sounds
definitely,
so awesome.
yeah,
I really like that idea.
you and I can definitely start with the example on that. So
Sounds
it'd be
like
a cool
one of the
way.
most healthy uses of social media I think I've ever heard.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right, cool.
Well,
Should we?
awesome.
Yeah, should we wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up. We appreciate you guys listening, and always appreciate feedback. And
Yes,
um,
seriously, thank you so much for listening to the people that we have heard have listened. It means the world.
yeah, awesome. All right. We'll see you guys on the next one.
All right, see y'all.